I often, I often find that in the first couple pages of a piece of narrative, whether it's fiction or creative nonfiction, the writer tends to spoon feed the reader information that the reader hasn't yet generated an appetite for organically. What I mean by this is that it seems usually more effective to let the reader, um, so to speak, hang out with the protagonist to get to become grounded very concretely in the situation that the protagonist finds him or herself in, so that then the appetite gets whetted to learn what brought the character or this cluster of characters through time to this situation. And then we, the reader, really want to know the history and the context, the backstory. Um, Often I really feel that the cart gets put before the horse, wherein the backstory starts to get filled in the first page or two or three before I've had a chance to start to care about it, start to really wish to understand what has brought this situation about. It's often said, and we've all heard it said, that you can't teach writing. It's true that you can't teach a basic level of inventiveness or linguistic freshness. That, I think, comes instinctively. But one thing that I've learned in nearly 20 years of teaching in the MFA program at Vermont College of Fine Arts is that there's a tremendous amount that you can instill in a writer to help remove barriers that get placed between the text and the reader. Everything from specific technical glitches, punctuation, mechanics, grammar, all the way up to subtler subtler forms of alienation or impediment, like repeating words or phrases when there's no necessity to repeat them, because this can make the writer's linguistic resources seem narrower. I find that the more reasons to turn the page, the better. You can think of it as kind of a side view of the ocean, and on the top are the waves moving in a certain direction, and you can compare that to the movement of the sentences, the energy in the prose on the level of word choice and phrasing, and just the sort of velocity or the momentum of the language. And then just underneath there's another layer of a current that can be seen as the unfolding of the drama of, say, individual scenes or interactions between people, the unfolding of the ideas that are being handled in the prose. Underneath that, there's a deeper level tidal movement of the plot, and that is true even in a short piece of fiction. If it's a 5-page story, you still can have 3, 4, 5 different urgent reasons to turn each page to the next. Many times people use the words story and plot interchangeably, but there's a helpful way of thinking about narrative in which story and plot mean two different things. And this came first from E.M. Forster in Aspects of the Novel, where he talks about story as being, think of it as just a horizontal line of this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this, etc. The anecdotal or historical dimension of simply the sequence of events through time. Plot, on the other hand, is what this sequence amounts to in terms of meaning. How this aggregate of events comes to be more significant than the sum of its parts. It becomes more than the sum of its parts. And you could represent this with an upward slanting axis. The plot, what it all means. You could just as well depict this with a downward. You could flip the whole thing around and have plot be a downward axis, a deepening the image is just going for a sense of expansion, a saturation with meaning, rather than something that would be much more bare or straightforward or superficial.